Gary, good morning. I'm in the study here in Lausanne, Switzerland. It's October 2016 and I'm making a review of the Corsair Air 540 case. I'm going to try and persuade you that this would probably be a very good case to consider when building your next workstation or ultimate server. Now this process started in April of this year. It's now October. It's been a couple of months, but I still haven't built anything. But I do think that this is the case I'm going to be using. And why? Well, first of all, I'm trying to build a very powerful either ATX or extended ATX motherboard based server with either one or two CPUs. I'd like it to be quiet as opposed to what you can hear right now, and I'd like it to be quite compact. So you can see this is quite a compact case by the two media bays that are in the front. There's some USB 3 sockets here and two media bays. And still in 2016, I feel it would be useful to have at least a Blu-ray drive to be able to write optical media and read. There's a second bay. At the moment, this case, as you'll see, is being used with a more than 10-year-old geriatric server motherboard. And that does have a floppy drive connector, and hence I have connected a 5¼ and 3½ inch combo drive. You don't see many of those around today. So let's continue the tour and show you the killer feature of the motherboard. And what is the killer feature? The killer feature is that this motherboard has a dual compartment design, and the motherboard is going to be mounted on this line here, so you'll be able to see the components here, and on this side you're going to see all the gubbins, including all the cables. So let's have a little look. Take off the flimsy panel and the screw. So this case is cheap. It's something like let's say £150. It's like to a normal currency, like 150 francs. So that is really, really cheap. Unfortunately, the cheapness is reflected in the metal, not aluminium construction, and also the fact that it's flimsy. Okay, let's look at this super duper design. So you see on this side we've got a 4-bay SSD or 2½ inch drive caddy, flimsy. You've got the media bays with the two drives sticking in there. You've got a 1000 watt, I have fitted a 1000 watt power supply, and you've got all your SSD SATA cables here and power supply cables. So even on a modular power supply you're going to have quite a fair few cables sticking out, and they can all nest down here, and with the cover on you're not going to see them. There's more space for extra fans here, but as I'm going to show you in a minute, you'd be very, very unlikely to use that space. So personally, maybe I should block that space off so there's more airflow in the future. Okay, so that's the killer feature. The killer feature again is your motherboard sits here, your cables and all your gubbins are packed in there. You put that side on and you're not going to see any cables. All you're going to see is a nice motherboard on the other side, relatively cable free. Okay, let's scribble down to the back. So there's the back, not that much to see here. You've got another fan. This came with a case, so again, excellent value. You've got your motherboard cut out here, and all your cards sticking there. Now, how are CPUs cooled in 2016? Well, most CPUs would be cooled with, I would say, with liquid coolers. And how would we fit that? Well, take off top flimsy panel. You will see that there is a space here. Now you can either fit a single 280mm long or two 140s or two 120 radiators here. So how does this liquid cooler work? If you're new to this, instead of having a heat sink, you can see there, and a fan, you have a heat sink, a very maybe tiny heat sink with a small pump inside of it that attaches to the top of your CPU, and then two pipes come out with liquid in there, and that feeds to a radiator which mounts here, and the fan is on the underside of that radiator. So that's how it would work in 2016. it looks much more compact because although this motherboard has tiny little fans and tiny little heat sinks, with a modern processor you have this ginormous heatsink and ginormous fan, and it just dominates the whole motherboard and case space area. So that's the 2016 way to do it. This can support 140mm, i.e. slower spinning and more silent coolers. So I think this is a really excellent design from that point of view. Let's attempt to put this on without embarrassment. Back on. Yeah, that did fit back on. I do have a Air 240 case. On that, the screws here are so flimsy that they've sort of gone kind of wonky. And these are holding out. Okay. Right, now let's show the motherboard area. Let's come down here and show you. So, we're going to attempt to take this panel off. There we go. And you'll see a motherboard nestling inside this case. Now, what else do you see as well? There are two media bays here for 3.5-inch drives and sort of plastic caddy things, which you can pull in and out for SATA interfaces. And your cards are going to stick here. As you can see, I've got I've got a Super Micro 4-port Ethernet card here and a very old-fashioned graphics card. It's quite a tidy area because all your cables are just going to poke through. The power cable is going to poke through from the other side, and of course on the modern build you're not going to have a floppy cable here. That's making it look very untidy. So that's pretty much it really. It's an excellent case in terms of its flexibility. You're going to see the radiators will be on the top here, or you can even mount the same radiators, could be mounted here, or you can mount extra fans here. But I think with two fans on the top, the fan that comes with the system, which is here, and the power supply fan, I really don't think you're going to need that many more fans. You would probably monitor the temperature of your system once you've installed it for, let's say, a couple of days, and check if things are getting too hot. If it is, you'd need to order an extra fan. Again, this is an exceptionally flexible case, and is one of the few cases that will take a server-sized extended ATX motherboard. Now, motherboards come in many shapes and sizes. Most cases will take an ATX motherboard, but this case will take an eATX server motherboard. Now, if you want a dual CPU configuration, your choices are usually to go for a server motherboard which has a larger real estate space, or eATX or something else. And basically, good luck finding a case that fits as something else. So I'd recommend eATX server motherboard for dual CPU configuration. And again, this is one of the very few cases that's able to accommodate that motherboard without any problems whatsoever. So yeah, it's the Corsair Air 540 case. It's cheap. It's made out of steel, not aluminium. It comes with this fan. It's got this dual chamber design, which is good for neatness and cable management and airflow. It can fit a whole boatload of fans, including two 140mm radiators at the top here or in the front. And yeah, it's very economical. So there are other Corsair Air designs, by the way. There's a 240, which is smaller, which won't fit an extended ATX motherboard. It will fit ITX and micro ATX. And there's a 740, which is bigger than this case. I don't really know why you'd buy that in today's marketplace, because that case would be better if you had more media drive requirements. But today, typically your server will be talking to a NAS device, and so you'll only have relatively few drives in the server itself. You're probably going to communicate via either 1 or 10 gigabit copper Ethernet out of the server to a remote storage device. So don't see the need for a 740. And again, this is quite a compact case, so it has that in its favour. So thanks for watching. I think my views are relevant for the time of this posting, which is October 2016. Thanks for watching. I'll do another video perhaps when the whole system is built. Okay, bye.